The Brock Eagles roll in the opener. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Brock Eagle Football Show, brought to you by HNS Septic Services and the Optimist Football Club. As the Eagles dispatch, the Eagles of Decatur, that is, 52-31. Man, this was a very, very close matchup in that first half. It was I think it was 24-17 at halftime. And then Brock just stepped on the gas offensively, scoring 2 touchdowns in the third, 2 touchdowns in the fourth, while Decatur could only score 1 in each of the quarters as Brock pulled away 52-31 to go to 1-0. And just a great all-around performance by the offense. I mean, this is an offense that had a quarterback starting for the first time. And I think when I was talking to Coach, I accidentally said Reagan. That was the quarterback for Decatur. I just had the wrong notes in front of me. Holt Frazier, who threw for 194 yards and 4 touchdowns. Colt Matlock, once again, a big night, picking up 140 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. He also had a great kickoff to start the game. I mean, the very first 2 plays of the game for Brock was a kickoff for a big return and then a touchdown pass. You can't ask for anything better to start the season. Defensively, there was some struggles at times, especially in that first half, but you got to remember, even though Decatur is young like Brock, they're also just as talented as Brock. And that offense over the year is going to grow and grow, and especially next year, Decatur is going to be a scary offensive machine. They always are. But anyway, great win for Brock. Now they move on to take on Lake Worth. And as always, we'll be talking to the head coach, Billy Mathis, about the win and the game coming up. And we always throw in a little something else. And also, we want to thank HNS Septic Services. If you want to give them a call, 682-214-6003. That's 6003. Serving Parker, Hood, and all other surrounding counties. So if you're not sure, just give them a call. Or you can go online to hssepticservicetexas.com. And you can book an appointment right there online. They have a 1-year labor warranty. They honor all manufacturer warranties, and there are discounts. They close around 4 p.m., but reach out to them if you need to online and take care of it. Also, the Optimist Football Club. Now, we're going to be doing more about that as their season starts up. Brock has some teams over there. We're going to do like player of the week, do some of the standings, have a little fun with that. And that's all because of Mike Hilburn, and we do appreciate that. Also, that's where H&H Septic Services come from as well. So we appreciate Mike for being the total sponsor of the Brock Football Show here in 2025. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it's the head coach of the Brock Eagles, Coach Billy Mathis, right here on the H&S Septic Services Brock Football Show on L4 Media. Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Terry Bennett back here on the Brock Football Show, now joined by the head coach of the Eagles, Coach Billy Mathis. And, Coach, congratulations, a big win over the other Eagles, Decatur, 52-31. Were you a little bit shocked by the high scoringness of the game?
Honestly, I was. I knew we had the ability to go out there and score a lot. I just didn't, I hated it that we gave up 31 points. But, when you play a team like Decatur who's so high calibered, offensively and defensively, I knew we were going to have a hard time, stopping them pitching a shutout, which is always our goal. I just, I didn't do a good enough job, getting us ready, and they did a great job of countering what we've done, what the game plan was last year to what it was this year. And it was a good game. But yes, I was surprised that it was that high scoring of a game, especially being week 1 and all the crazy things that always seem to happen during week 1.
You start the game off in the best way possible. You get a great opening kickoff. You then, on the very first play of scrimmage, score a touchdown through the air. You had 442 yards. I mean, almost completely even, 235 on the ground, 207 passing. So you've got to be happy with how the offense started, at least.
Man, the offense looked great. And, O-line went out there and set the tone and did just an amazing job, not only in the run game, but also in the pass pro. And then when you got guys like Matlock and B-Ray and Hibbler, and you got Dash and Breyer, and then you got Holt back there, boy, that's a lot of offensive power over there on that side.
We haven't talked enough about Colt Matlack. I legitimately think he is one of the best wide receivers in Class 4A, not Division One, Division Two, but Class 4A in general.
Yeah, he is. Colt's been he's been the star since he's been a little kid. And what we love about Colt so much, and what his teammates love about it, he is not big headed or conceited about any of it. He's one of the hardest workers out there, and he does such a great job of keeping his teammates lifted up. And Colt, when he gets his opportunities, he's special. Like that first kickoff return, man, he got it and took it up the pipe, and the very next play catches a little out route and goes and outruns everybody. Then he goes over there on the defensive side. I mean, that guy, he plays a ton of snaps. He is he I call him superstar all the time. But he's not only superstar out there on the field, but he's even better off the field. And we're very lucky to have him.
Well, and we always talk about quarterbacks and experience at quarterback, and you had a quarterback starting his first ever varsity game. And how is it important to have the experience of someone like Matlock working with a Reagan, and obviously the great game he had for his first varsity game?
Oh man, it was awesome, man. Colt's good. Colt's, he's like, he goes over there, he keeps them all cool and calm. He gets out there, and of course he always tells me, hey, if you get in trouble, just look my way. Same thing I tell him too. Hey, if you get in trouble, look to one of these, look to Colt out there as a receiver. So, hey man, he's good. He keeps them dialed in. He keeps them even keeled. He never gets too high. He never gets too low. And I think that's what gives him that opportunity to go out there and play the way he plays. And he just plays with such a competitive excellence. Each week, it doesn't matter if he's blocking, it doesn't matter if he's receiving, whether he's on the defensive side trying to pick a ball off, or he's coming down trying to fit in the run game. He's he's just on top of it all the time, and he's a student of the game. And he's going to get an opportunity to go play big time college football after this year. But he understands and he knows right here, right now, this is where he's at, and this is where he wants to shine.
Offensively, you score 52 points. We talked about the yardage. Is there anything that you saw that you feel that y'all need to clean up?
There's always a few things that we need to clean up, offensively. We still had some miscues and things that go on, the first week. But, I thought our guys, our offensive staff, Coach Christensen and the guys did an amazing job of game planning and really sticking with what worked. We didn't try to go out and force stuff. We let the game plan go, and it went as we planned. And, I thought our run game really set the tone for everything else, throughout the game.
And I know defensively you did give up 31 points, and of course, you want to clean that up. But I was impressed how in the second half, I felt y'all did a better job of clamping down on them.
Yeah, we did. And, that is just credit to our kids. We went in there at halftime and we tweaked a few things, made a couple of adjustments, and man, the boys came out that second half with a chip on their shoulder. They didn't want to give up that many points in the first half. There's a lot of pride that goes into that locker room of, going and getting 3 and outs and stuff, and we weren't getting them done. So we went in there, tweaked a few things, and man, they came out with their hair on fire that second half. And what did we give up? I think we just gave up one that second half.
All right, this week you take on a Lake Worth team that you and I were talking about before we started recording. They're a confusing team because they have a lot of talent. They have a really good coaching staff, but they just haven't seemed to be able to bring it together over the last year and a half or so.
Yeah, I think old Coach Peterman's done a great job there. They've had some ups and downs, but you watch them on film, and man, he's got them dialed in. That defense of theirs is lightning fast, and their offense, they're tough to stop because they got some gigantic offensive linemen and some big receivers out there, and their quarterback, he makes them go. So, we're going to have to go play a lot of fundamental football, keep our eyes where they need to be. But the greatest thing we got to do is we got to tackle well. We've got to do a great job of the first man getting there, tackling them up, and having 10 other guys running to that football and gang tackling. So if we don't do that, they're too big and strong that, they could break away and, take it to the house at any point and any time.
As you now begin your second year as a 4A Division II team, do you feel that y'all are finally comfortable in 4A Division II? It's not like y'all struggled or anything, but you and I talked about it. It was just a little bit different looking at the films of the teams from 3A to 4A last year. Do you feel more comfortable in this 4A Division II world now?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think, the whole mental game of it has changed. Not one time this summer did anybody say, "Oh, we're going up to 4A" or anything like that. We're our 4A. We're part of 4A. So there, it wasn't talked about. There was no, weren't real sure what things were going to look like up there. So, we're here, we're now, and I definitely think our kids and everybody else is pretty comfortable to, being up in 4A.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. As always, we want to thank Coach Mathis for joining us. Also, once again, I want to thank H&S Septic Services. Give them a call, 682-214-6003. If you need installation, septic pumping, maintenance, inspection, they do it all there. 1-year labor warranty. Again, you can also find them online at hssepticservicestexas.com. And again, we'll be talking about the Optimist Football Club going forward once their season gets started. We're going to have standings, player of the week. Might bring Mike on a couple times just to kind of talk about stuff. We're just going to have a lot of fun with that. That'll get started, I think, next week is when we'll have our first bit of information. Well, for Brock, you got through the first tough test of the year. I think Lake Worth, while better, is still down, so I don't see this being too much of a tough test, but you never know, especially the first part of the year. These teams come out of nowhere, or you think they come out of nowhere, because their program takes a big second season step, though they did get pummeled in their first game this year against Panther Creek 63-0. But man, Panther Creek's the real deal in 4A Division I. The only thing that's hurting them is that the defending state championship Salina Bobcats are in their district, and a really good Sulphur Springs. That 4A Division I district is really, really tough. And if you want to know more about 4A Division I or about 4A Division II outside the Brock scope, then just check out our Sideline to Sideline Class 4A show. You can find it on L4 Media, on our YouTube at L4 Media Company, or on our podcast page, s2sgrantandterry.com, or on all podcast platforms. I usually post the videos, show up on Wednesdays. I put the audios up on Thursdays. So if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments for Coach Mathis, or for me, or for Sideline to Sideline, or for anybody, just email them to me, Terry at s2ssport.com. Until next week, this is the Brock Eagle Football Show, brought to you by H&S Septic Services, the Optimist Football Club, and L4 Media.